That is correct. Okay, standing by. Is your current time. I'm meteorologist Trevor Burchett with a severe weather update from ABC 24. We're joining you live this morning because we have a severe thunderstorm warning that's been issued for Shelby County and DeSoto County. This is going to go for the next little bit. The reason this has been issued is because we have some hail and some gusty wind rolling through. This is not a tornado concern. No tornado warnings right now. I know we do have a tornado watch in effect for parts of the Mid-South, but the reason we're with you this morning is because this storm is producing a potentially damaging wind gusts and some hail. Let's go ahead and get right into it. The details on this severe thunderstorm warning, this goes until 4:30, so we're going to be with you at least until then, unless they cancel this early. This includes Crittenden, DeSoto, Shelby, and St. Francis counties, again, until 4:30 this morning. Let's go ahead and get right into this. The reason this warning has been issued is because we have a hail threat mainly and a gusty wind threat, winds up to 60 miles an hour with this little guy right here over Proctor, Arkansas in Crittenden County. Heavy rain and thunderstorms extend back to the west of that as well. Forest City down along I-40. Maybe if we could get some cameras over on RDOT over near Forest City, that might be a good view because there's also just a ton of lightning with this. I imagine some of us are being woken up this morning. You're probably having an early start just like I am because, man, there is just a ton of lightning in this storm. I'll draw a box and we can get the number of lightning strikes. This is at about the last 15 minutes. 300 strikes of lightning, and you see it's continuing to increase. That is the sign of a strengthening storm. And again, we're seeing that now with the damaging winds and the hail. First thing I want to do is put a storm track on this thing as it's moving off to the east. This thing's moving at about 45 miles an hour. So as we track this into Memphis, it's going to be crossing the river fairly soon. So I do want to give you a heads up. You know, power outages are possible, and again, you might hear some of that hail. So if you're in Memphis or DeSoto County, I know we've already had some storms this morning, but we have this final batch that's rolling through that could pack a little bit of a punch. We'll put a storm track on this thing as it's moving off to the east. Again, this is moving at about 45 miles an hour. That's going to put it near Horseshoe Lake at 3:56, Memphis at 4:04. It might be in downtown a little sooner than that. Our dot for Memphis is in the center of the 240 loop. So if you're downtown, you might be getting some of that damaging wind and hail even sooner than that. Germantown at 4:16, Collierville at 4:26, Hernando at 4:37, Moscow, Tennessee by 4:47, Byhalia at 4:50, Senatobia at 5:09. So again, this line of storms just getting ready to cross the river, and the National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for potentially damaging winds and hail until 4:30. I want to continue to reiterate, right now we do not have a tornado concern. We have no tornado warnings in effect. This is a thunderstorm that's producing some wind and hail, so it is serious. I want you to pay attention to it, but this is not a tornado warning. Just a storm that's going to pack a little bit of a punch. Let's go live outside. This is from the RDOT camera we told you about. This is near Forest City on Interstate 40, and just take a look at some of that lightning that we are seeing there off in the distance. I mean, man, that is an incredible view with that heavy rain coming on down. And again, you see traffic making it, but if I were them, I might go ahead and pull on over because that is a nasty thunderstorm that's rolling through. Again, right now, this is I-40 out near Forest City as this storm is rolling off to the east. I want to let you know as well, I have your Facebook comments up. I like to do that during severe weather because it lets me connect with you a little bit more. Some of you I know have questions when storms like this roll through, so I am going to be watching the Facebook comments. If you see me check my phone, that's what I'm going to be doing, just because I want to make sure if you have any concerns, I'm trying to get to them. Let's go back over to the radar. We'll go back to that storm track. Again, if you're just waking up with us, maybe your phone made some noise, you turned on ABC 24. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for Memphis and Shelby County, as well as northern DeSoto County until 4:30 for the threat of damaging winds and hail. Not a tornado concern. Damaging winds and hail the issue right now in Memphis by 4 a.m., South Haven at 4:11, Germantown by 4:16. Let's clear this out of here and we will investigate this storm just a little bit. I'll tell you where the strongest part of the storm is right now, and it's this area where you're seeing these darker colors in here. That is where that rain is really intense, and where that is just south of I-40, close to Horseshoe Lake down in Mississippi. But there's West Memphis. Here's Memphis right behind me. Downtown's right in here. So that thing is crossing the river, probably over President's Island in the next little bit. President's Island already getting some heavy rain, maybe some hail. But it's this storm in particular I'm going to watch as it moves off to the east. You see the latest scan coming in as it continues to do so. As it pushes into Memphis, damaging wind gusts, heavy rain, and maybe some hail. I don't want to forget about the heavy rain threat. We do have a flash flood warning that's also in effect for Memphis and Shelby County because there are several roads that are impassable. Also reports back in Forest City because of this heavy rain. There are several roads that are impassable. Remember, if you do see a flooded roadway, turn around, don't drown. We don't want you driving through floodwater. I was coming into work this morning and I ran into a flooded road right there at Sam Cooper and Tillman, and I had to turn around and find another route just because it's too dangerous to drive through. Just getting a check of the wind speed here. Nothing incredibly strong with the winds. The brighter colors you're seeing in here, those are winds that are definitely packing a little bit of a punch. We could have wind gusts in here as high as 30, 40, 50 miles an hour. And that has and could lead to more power outages over the next little bit. Again, the biggest concern I have right now with this is the hail. And as we switch over to our hail tracker, you see those greens showing up in there. That's where that hail could be a little bit larger. So we can kind of poke around in here. And this is the radar estimating hail over an inch. That is over quarter-sized hail. And if we track that out, that's going to move into the city of Memphis in the next little bit. Particularly, again, President's Island toward downtown and midtown inside the 240 loop. So if you are in those areas, I know we have some folks that work the night shift or the early morning shift. I'm right there with you. I'm getting to work around this time usually. But if you are headed to work this morning, might want to hang out just a little bit. Because we really have some pretty good sized hail that's just about to cross the river into downtown Memphis. What I'm going to do now, I put a storm track on the entire storm, but what I want to do is actually track out the hail specifically, because that to me is the biggest concern right now, is that threat of hail. And as we track that area out, moving off to the north and east, these are the areas that have the highest risk of hail and when it's going to be there. West Memphis in moments at about 4:09, Mound City at 4:15, 4:17 into Whitehaven, 4:22 into Memphis. And again, I want to remind you, Memphis is a big city. That dot on our map is near the fairgrounds. It's pretty much at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. So if you live downtown, you're probably going to get this a little bit sooner. Downtown Memphis, you might be talking about 10 minutes sooner than that. Might be closer to 4:10 downtown that we see that batch of hail come on in. Continuing up toward Bartlett by 4:32, Ellendale at 4:36, Collierville at 4:43. That's assuming it holds its intensity. We've seen these storms kind of fluctuate back and forth where they try to fall apart a little bit and then they're able to re-intensify. We'll watch that and see if that's something this storm could do. But for right now, I'm definitely concerned about that potential of some hail falling out of this storm. I want to reset quickly here. I know we have some folks. It is early in the morning, just before 4 a.m. The reason we're on your TV this early is because we have that severe thunderstorm warning for Memphis and Shelby County, also for northern DeSoto County, and some other severe thunderstorm warnings back toward Forest City and St. Francis County. As this storm moves to the east, it's going to pose a threat of damaging winds and hail in Memphis especially. So quarter-sized hail is what we're talking about. If this storm does not weaken, it's going to have a real potential to knock out some folks' windows. And that's not a good way to start off a Thursday morning. But quarter-sized hail, you think that's about that big. That's not good falling out of the sky. And we do have that area right there. The darker colors you see in there, that's where there's probably hail. And the black line that you see right running through there, that's the Mississippi River. That's the Arkansas-Tennessee state line. So as this thing crosses over, there's downtown Memphis, Midtown, Hollywood area, the 240 loop. That thing is going to be moving kind of like this. So we're talking about near the Valero refinery. Maybe if we could pull up the, let's look at like I-55 on TDOT, I-55 and Mallory, or I-55 and 3rd Street. I want to keep the downtown camera up, but if we could get another camera at about 55 and 3rd Street, that's probably, if there is hail in this, which I believe there is, that's probably about where the highest threat will be. And just to reiterate that, you see that bullseye of hail showing up right there. This is down near just south of West Memphis. So you've got 147 that goes down there. This is down towards some of those RV parks along the river. That's where the highest threat of hail is now. And it's going to cross the river. Right here is President's Island with all the industrial plants, and then coming into downtown Memphis shortly after that. So if you normally leave around this time, you don't need to. You need to park it where you are. Do not get on the road. You need to stay put and let this storm pass by. It's not going to last forever. By 5 a.m., we'll start to wrap this show up, and then we'll be sunny for the rest of the day. But definitely a threat of hail is what I'm seeing. And just to give you an idea of what the radar is estimating, this is hail size over an inch. And again, that would be about quarter-sized hail down just south of West Memphis and moving off to the northeast. I want to put another storm track on it and give you an idea of where this thing is going and where the threat of hail is going to be. Let's zoom on out just a little bit here. Again, right now, just south of West Memphis, the highest concern for hail. But as we put a storm track on this, as it is rolling through Memphis, I know we already have some rain in Memphis. There's a little downpour near downtown and midtown right now over the medical district. That's already there. But what I'm tracking is the storm right behind it that has the highest potential of damaging wind gusts and hail. Definitely hail in here. Mallory at 405, that's what we were just talking about down near I-55 and Mallory, and we have that camera pulled up. We'll check it in just a moment. Whitehaven at 409, Memphis at 411, Oakville at 414, that's near the airport area. Capelville, that's down off Shelby Drive in Lamar by about 419. Germantown at 424. Cordova at 425. Bailey at 431. And Collierville at 435. So if you are in that zone right now, hail and damaging wind gusts, certainly a possibility. Checking in with the National Weather Service, just seeing if we have any new information. I'm not seeing anything right at this moment. But of course, right now, that storm is over kind of a rural area. You know, there's not much out there south of West Memphis in Crittenden County. But once this thing gets into Memphis, which it's doing right now, that's when we're going to start to see maybe some reports coming in. I do want to let you know, if you have reports of damage or any hail that you're seeing, you can let us know. You can text those into us. What I don't want you to do is go outside and try to do that yourself. But if you do have photos, reports, any videos you can send after the storm has passed, I want to reiterate, please do not go out in the storm and do this, but any reports, photos, or videos, you can text to us. You can be our ABC 24 weather watchers. That's 901-321-7520. Save that number in your phone. Anytime there's weather happening in your neighborhood, you can shoot us a text and let us know. Again, do so safely. I don't want you standing at the window. I don't want you on your porch doing this. But if the storm passes and you notice maybe a tree is down, we'd love to hear about it so we can pass that report along to the National Weather Service. Here's an update from the Weather Service. Speaking of them, this is an update to that warning. A severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 4:30 this morning, so about 30 more minutes, for eastern St. Francis, southern Crittenden, DeSoto, and Shelby counties. That's until 4:30. A severe thunderstorm near T.O. Fuller State Park. That's in southwest Memphis along the river, moving east at 45 miles an hour, producing 60-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-sized hail. And that is going to be our biggest concern, like we've been talking about, is if we do have quarter-sized hail in here, it's not going to be good. Again, the lightning also a concern. We've just had a whole slew lightning over the last 15 minutes or so. That is probably what's waking a lot of people up. Maybe they're turning on their TV to figure out what's going on. That's what we're dealing with right now. Again, no tornado concerns right now. We do not have any tornado warnings in effect. None of these storms right now seem to indicate that they are about to produce a tornado. Why I'm with you is because we have that threat of hail, and I want to make sure that you're aware. I do want to check our wind mode just to see what's going on. We've been in an environment today where there are the potential for tornadoes, and we had several tornadoes in Middle Tennessee earlier. This is the product I would look at to see if, hey, maybe is something spinning up out there. This is not showing me anything that would indicate that. Normally what we would look for, this is the wind in the storm. We look for really bright greens and really bright reds right next together. And notice those greens and reds are kind of separated in this storm. That means they're not twisting around, which is overall good news. That means right now I'm not concerned about any tornado potential in this. It does not look like this storm has any threat of a tornado right now. What it is producing, though, is some hail just south of West Memphis. That's going to move off to the east-northeast into Memphis. And that's why we are on the air this morning, because hail, obviously, no good. Another storm track on the hail. Rains by 4:10. City of Memphis soon. Again, that dot is in Midtown at East Parkway and about Park, right there near the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. So if you're in Midtown, probably closer to 417. Normal Station at 419. Capeville at 422. White Station at 424. Germantown at 428. Cordova at 432. Again, what we're tracking out here is the potential of hail as it is moving off to the northeast. I don't want to forget about everybody else, though. I know we have people that are watching that are not in Memphis. So quickly, as we get an update on our hail product, I want to zoom out for just a little bit and kind of do a reset of what is happening here. We have some thunderstorms continuing in North Mississippi from Tate County over to Holly Springs, Ripley, Walnut, Corinth. They're seeing some heavy rain and thunder and lightning right now. None of that is severe. We technically do have a tornado watch in effect for North Mississippi, but these storms are not impressive at all. They're going to produce heavy rain. They're going to produce gusty wind and some thunder and lightning. But I'm not necessarily concerned about this batch of storms right here. It seems to be kind of weakening and moving out. A little cell out near Bethel Springs, just east of Selmer, that could be producing some heavy rain and gusty wind. Again, though, right now it's not severe. The strongest storms is this batch of storms coming out of eastern Arkansas and coming into Memphis right now. This is the only storm that has a warning on it. Heavy rain, gusty winds back through St. Francis, Lee County down toward Mariana. But you see how that one storm cell is really bright. It's kind of the brightest color on the map, that dot right there. That's because it is the strongest storm, and that's the one they have that severe thunderstorm warning out for. This is the area that I'm a little more worried about, that could be producing hail and potentially damaging wind gusts. I want to make sure, yeah, we still have 55 in Mallory up. We'll get to that in just a moment, because 55 in Mallory is about right there. That's right at the Valero refinery, and that's where this storm is pretty much going to be in a matter of minutes. And again, damaging wind gusts and hail going to be an issue in here. Let's go back to just the hail mode, and I'll show you. Again, what you're looking at here, this is President's Island right in here. 55 comes in right here. You've got the 55 and the 40 bridge. There's downtown Memphis. Malfunction Junction right there, 240 and 55. And there's Elvis Presley Boulevard. I can put some of these roads on here just so you know where this threat of hail is probably going to be the highest. So let's poke around a little bit in here. There you've got I-55. We're out here kind of in the Westwood area. So you've got 3rd Street that's going to come through there. That's Highway 61. Elvis Presley Boulevard, not too far away from there. Interstate 55. And again, a lot of this is out toward President's Island. So you've got like Harbor Avenue, Channel Avenue. Where this is going to end up at is probably along like Brooks Road and Alta Road. Meadowbrook Road is right there. And then eventually inside the 240 loop, Shawnee Avenue, crossing over Elvis Presley, and continuing to move eastward from there. So we're talking mainly about the south side of the city. This is South Memphis, Whitehaven, Westwood areas that that have the highest threat of hail. And you see where that is right there on the map. It's just crossed the Mississippi River, and that threat of hail is going to be coming into 55 and Mallory very soon. So that's 55. You've got Mallory there, you've got 3rd Street, and then you've got I-55. This is where that threat of hail is coming in. Another update from the National Weather Service just coming through. They're going to continue the severe thunderstorm warning due to 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, and again, that potential of 1-inch sized hail. This thing is really starting to blow through Memphis now. And again, just to get your bearings straight, 55 is here. You got the 240 loop, 240 in Norris, 240 in South Parkway, 240 in Union is there. And then you go east toward the airport. That's about 240 in Airways. So this storm going to continue pretty much along the south side of the 240 loop. So if you're traveling on 240, you've got Mill Branch, Airways, Lamar, Getwell, Perkins, Mount Moriah 385. Those areas have the highest potential to see the damaging wind gusts and the hail. Downtown, you're getting in on the heaviest rain right now, some thunder and lightning down there, but that hail threat is mainly to your south toward the northern side of Whitehaven, right along Interstate 240 down near the airport. I will say in the last little bit, as I move this back, this storm maybe has tried to weaken just a little bit. It's definitely not as strong as it was. I'm still worried about hail in here, but that hail size might be decreasing just a little bit as it moves into Memphis, which is good because obviously a lot of folks out here, we do not want cars damaged by hail, but still a nasty storm as it's crossing the river now. Let's check in with that 55 and Mallory camera now. We've been watching this one carefully as those storms have been rolling in. So again, this is looking right now at 55 and Mallory. This is near the Valero refinery. We're looking back toward I-55, back east toward the airport and I-55. You see the rain starting to come down as that storm is moving on in here. What I'm going to try to look for is maybe a little bit of hail falling. It's really hard to see on these TDOT cameras. They're not the best quality, but sometimes you can catch a hailstone or two flying through the camera. So I just want to see if anything's happening here. You can definitely see the lightning and the rain coming on down as this storm is rolling through, and that's why we've got that severe thunderstorm warning. Hard to tell if there's any hail falling in that, but it's almost a guarantee there are at least a couple of hailstones that have come down at some point. And this has been an issue back through Arkansas. We can look at the hail for the last 2 hours. So back from Forest City all the way east, just south of Earl and Parkin through southern Crittenden County, we've had issues with hail. Seems to me like the worst of the hail was probably in Crittenden County, just as it crossed from St. Francis to Crittenden south of Interstate 40. That's where that hail was probably the biggest and posed the most threat. We can zoom in here and get an idea of where that is. There's 147 and 79. So that's near Anthonyville. They probably had some hail a bit ago. Again, as the storm has continued to move east, seems like things have weakened a bit. We're not seeing those bright green colors on the hail product anymore. So once it turns blue, that indicates the hail getting a little bit smaller. Let's go back to 55 in Mallory. Things are picking up out there a little bit as this moves on through. And I wanted to point out, you've got somebody with their blinkers on. It's illegal. I know it makes sense in your brain. You're like, oh, I'll turn on my flashers and people can see me better. Can't do that in the state of Tennessee. You cannot drive with your hazard lights on in the state of Tennessee. Good rule of thumb is if it's raining so heavy that you have to turn on your hazard lights, you probably just should not be driving. You need to park it for a little bit and let this storm pass. The storm is not going to last long. It'll be wrapping up here within the next hour or so, but you don't need to be driving in this, especially with the threat of hail. If that hail is falling, it might be small, but if you're doing 65 on the interstate, that hail can definitely do a little bit of damage. So heavy rain and the potential of hail now out near I-55 in Mallory. All right, back to the radar this morning. Again, if you're just joining us, the reason we're on with you is because we have a threat of damaging wind gusts and hail moving through the city of Memphis. No tornado warnings in effect, no threat of a tornado right now, but definitely a nasty storm producing some thunder and lightning and maybe some hail down near 55 and 240. I'm going to throw another camera at you, Chris, if we could try to find maybe 240 and Airways. 240 and Airways, that's near the airport. So there's Nonconnah Boulevard there, Mill Branch and 240, Airways and 240. You see where there are a couple of dots in here of some darker colors, even some purple showing up. That is where the heaviest rain and the possibility for some hail are going to be. So as this thing moves east, again, it's pretty much going to ride along 240 over to Airways and eventually to Lamar, Getwell, and Perkins. That's going to be the zone that we watch for that has the highest potential to see some hail. All right, this is 240 in Mill Branch. If we want to check that out, the worst of the weather rolling through there right now on that TDOT camera. So this is looking back toward Interstate 240. The lightning definitely coming on in, blinking quite a bit there as this storm is rolling in. Traffic seems to be doing okay, but this rain is going to continue to pick up over the next little bit. And again, you don't want to be driving if it's hailing. That is just a situation you do not want to be in. So set tight if you're in Memphis. I would not be driving for the next 30 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. Let this storm roll on by and then you can get back out on the road. But for right now, I wish everybody would just stay put. I know everybody has things to do. I'm right there with you, but it is a dangerous storm rolling through with that heavy rain and possibility of hail. Again, hard to see on these cameras if there are actually any hailstones falling, especially if they're on the smaller side. They can be kind of hard to see on the camera. But definitely a rough storm that is rolling through there. I'll zoom out a little bit back on the radar and kind of give you a wide view of everything that is happening. It's really this one little cell I'm watching. It goes from uptown, downtown, South Memphis, over toward Bellevue area, Midtown, the medical district, and then down through Whitehaven. Right now as it's crossing over I-55 and 240. That's pretty much the worst of it right now at that Mill Branch exit, getting ready to come over to Airways. So that, again, it's those darker colors. You see, the darker we get, the closer to purple we get on the scale, the heavier the rain and the higher possibility of hail. So right there, coming across Airways and Democrat, you've got that exit right there. That's where this thing is coming. And next up is going to be over toward Lamar. So if you live at Lamar and Democrat, I know it's not really started just yet, but here's what's coming. Let's go back to 240 in Mill Branch because it seems like things have picked up a little bit there. And this is probably the heaviest of it now. The lightning coming down, rain coming down harder now where it's almost too hard to see. I mean, this is the roadway. That's Interstate 240 right there. And you can't really see it. Even when there are cars coming by with their lights on, it's really hard to see the roadways. So this is what's going to continue to roll through the city of Memphis. If you're waking up right now, we don't have any tornado warnings. I want to keep emphasizing that. I know if you wake up, you might be a little worried if you hear the thunder that we have some kind of a tornado situation. We're not dealing with that right now. What we're dealing with is the hail and the potentially damaging wind gusts. Checking back in on the radar, I do want to check the wind speeds just a little bit and get an idea of what is going on there. Winds are not a huge concern. I mean, it is gusty out there, but these winds are not strong enough that they're going to probably do damage. We have probably 45-mile-an-hour winds now inside that 240 loop. We can kind of poke around a little bit and get an idea of these wind speeds. There's some 25, 30, maybe 35 miles an hour. Again, the winds are not terrible. Now, that could be enough to knock around branches and cause some power outages. You know how it is around here. But the winds are definitely not my biggest concern right at this moment. My biggest concern is the heavy rain and that potential of hail. That's where that hail was a little bit ago at 55 in Mallory. Now it's over toward 240 in Mill Branch and 240 and Lamar. I will let you know as we zoom out just a little bit, I'll put on the severe weather alerts. That severe thunderstorm warning has been trimmed back just a little bit. A while ago, it was including St. Francis County and southern Crittenden County. They canceled that warning for eastern Arkansas now. So right now, the warning is only in effect for Shelby County and DeSoto County. That's the only warning we have. We do have a tornado watch. That's the color in yellow for parts of northern Mississippi. But for right now, the only warning that we have is that orange box. That's the severe thunderstorm warning for damaging winds and hail in Memphis, Shelby County, and DeSoto County. Again, counties in yellow, they are under a tornado watch for the next little bit. But to me, it seems like the tornado threat is continuing to diminish. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on the weather for the next little bit. But if you're in North Mississippi, the biggest concern now is going to be the damaging wind gusts, the heavy rain, and the possibility of hail. Tornadoes, not out of the question. We've had a lot of storm fuel, but I do believe the bigger issue now is going to be the wind and the rain and the hail. Zooming back into Memphis and Shelby County as this storm continues to roll on through. Again, this is the only one that has a warning on it right now. It's pretty much right over the airport right now. Down here is the airport. You've got FedEx right there, so they probably have a halt on their operations because they can't continue with lightning. Bad timing for that because this is about the time they get their flights going. We might even want to check the map there and see if there are any flights getting out. I imagine they're probably not, at least right now. But hail and wind, definitely a concern in here, right along 240, coming up on Lamar now and eventually toward 385. In fact, we can go out to 240 and Lamar. This is actually between Lamar and Getwell. And we've got a nice street light here, that new LED street light giving us a great view of that rain coming down, and there is probably some hail mixing in here too. I don't think the hail is as big as it was. We were talking about inch-sized hail back in Arkansas. This hail might be closer to pea size or dime size, but again, like I said, if you're driving at 50 miles an hour and a hailstone hits your window, it's just like a rock. It's even bigger than a rock. It's probably going to put a crack on your windshield. So that's why I really do not want you driving right now. And you see, again, people driving with their blinkers on. You can't do that. If you are driving with your blinkers on, you need to pull over. If you don't think you can see to the point that you have to turn your blinkers on, you probably just don't need to be driving at all. And again, that lightning continuing to light up the sky off in the distance. I did want to check here while we're looking at this camera. I'm going to kind of multitask. I wanted to check the FlightAware map and see if there are anything, none going out or no delays. Okay. So right now, no major delays. And again, this is going to be a quick storm. So probably what's happened is FedEx has just kind of put a pause on things for this moment. And then they'll get going here in the next little bit. But again, this is normally that time that all of the FedEx flights start to go back out. Early in the morning, they start their mass exodus where they're taking off 2 at a time. That's probably not happening right now. We haven't had a takeoff here in about, let's see, when was this last one? So it looks like we actually have one that's maybe circling right now. We have a FedEx plane that's coming in from DFW that might be trying to circle around for the next little bit. Again, this is not going to last too long, so it's no major issue. Once this passes by, they'll get right back to it. But probably some delays there at the FedEx hub as they're getting ready for their morning rush of airplanes getting on out of here. Back to the radar, we'll check out where the storm is now. Again, inside the 240 loop, everybody pretty much seeing the heavy rain and the wind. We'll switch on the lightning mode because, as you can imagine, that lightning is bad. That's probably what's woken some of you up. Several strikes of lightning in here in the last little bit, north of the airport, and then right over East Parkway and Central, East Parkway and Sam Cooper, just south of there. That lightning is picking up. Now, as this storm is moving east, hail potential might be trying to come down just a bit. It's still a rough storm, but it definitely doesn't look as strong as it did just a little bit ago. I don't want to forget about the storms back in Arkansas. These are not severe, but they are heavy. We don't have any warnings on these, but very heavy rain and thunderstorms leaving out of eastern Arkansas, coming into northern Tunica, western DeSoto County. That's what's going to be coming into South Haven. And again, that one little cell rolling through Memphis. So I'm going to kind of track these separately. I want to start out with the storm that's in Memphis because that is the strongest storm. I want to track it kind of on its own and get an idea of where this particular storm is going over about the next 30 minutes. Germantown by about 4:22. Cordova at 4:28. Bailey at 4:29. Collierville at 4:32. Fisherville by 4:36 and eventually toward Rossville. That's in Fayette County by 4:44. So that storm continuing to move east. Wind, heavy rain, the biggest concerns. Could be a little bit of hail. Tamala, Sykes, thank you for that report. She's letting us know on Facebook there is a report of some heavy rain and hail near Perkins. And yeah, Perkins is getting it kind of rough right now. Before we track the other storm, I'll zoom in a little bit here down to street level to the worst part of this storm, where the hail is most likely. And right now, I mean, it's right on cue. This is Perkins right here. I'll put the road label on it. Let's see if we can grab it right there. So where I'm poking at is about Sea Isle and Perkins. So you see where Perkins just popped up. Sea Isle is right there, and that's coming up toward Poplar as well. Here's Poplar off in the distance. And then down to the south, you've got American Way, just south of 240. The old Mall of Memphis is right there. I know that's an old landmark for some of you. It's a 240 and Perkins right there at American Way. That is where the worst of this is now as it's moving off toward the east, coming up on 385 and 240. In fact, with that latest update, it's pretty much over 385 and 240 right now. Things lightening up over Perkins. Again, this is a quick moving storm. It's going to be in and out within 15 minutes, but it is going to be a strong storm as it moves off toward the east. Right now, more of an issue for the eastern side of 240, maybe some hail down to the south, down near Lamar and Democrat, Lamar and Winchester area, and now coming over 240, now into East Memphis and Germantown. That's going to be next in line for the damaging wind gust and for the hail. I want to check back on the winds and just see what's going on. Winds still not overly concerning to me. Again, we would look for really bright colors with these winds. I'm not seeing that right now. What I'd really be looking for, you see these brighter, almost pink and then like lime green colors. That's where the winds are really strong. These colors I'm seeing in here, they're indicating winds of 30, 40 miles an hour. So again, that's enough to rustle some trees, could be enough to lead to power outages if you want to check on that back in the booth and just see what's going on with power outage numbers. But the bigger issue right now is the lightning and the hail, which you know can also cause issues with power. So let's see. Tamala, if you're still with us on Facebook, if you could tell me if you have an idea of like maybe how big the hail is. Do it safely. If you can hear it coming on down, you know, is it little hail, big hail? Let us know. The National Weather Service is asking for reports. Thank you, Ruben, with a sip of water for me. I appreciate that. Go get a suit on. Ruben in his sweatpants this morning, having a nice lounging morning while I'm working over here. 423 now, again, waking up early with us due to this severe thunderstorm warning, damaging wind gusts and hail rolling through Memphis. Let me get the National Weather Service this report. Tamala, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I just want to type this over to them and let them know. Let's see. So 5,600 customers without power. That's down from earlier. So that is some good news. But again, as the storm blows through, would not be surprised to see some higher hail sizes roll through. Let's finish this. I'm not great at typing and talking at the same time, so I'll just finish this typing up, and then we'll get back to the radar. All right, so another report, Elizabeth coming in, raining hard in Sea Isle right now. Yeah, I believe that. And that's going to be kind of wrapping up in the next little bit, at least the heaviest part of that storm. This storm is quickly moving toward Germantown Parkway, Shelby Farms, Walnut Grove, Germantown, and Cordova. It's moving east, so this will start to clear up out of Memphis in the next little bit. I'll let you know by 5:30, 6. We're going to have some pretty nice weather. It's actually going to be sunny for most of the day today. We just have to get past this morning and this threat of damaging wind gusts and hail with this last little storm that is rolling through. Let's zoom back in here and poke around where this storm is heaviest now. It seems to me like maybe the heaviest part now is a little bit further to the south. So we're talking about this is down almost like Cottonwood area. There you've got Perkins and Knight Arnold is down there, coming up to 385 and Ridgeway. Those areas are probably seeing the best chance of hail right now. We had a report of dime-sized hail up off of Perkins. Down to the south, it could be a little bit larger, maybe nickel-sized hail just to the south of here. Again, along Winchester, coming up toward Perkins, and then you're over toward Hickory Hill as well. That's the area that has the highest potential to see maybe a couple of larger hailstones. We're hearing that come on down now at the station. We're at Northeast Memphis. We're at I-40 and Sycamore View. We're hearing the rain on our window now. As this storm is rolling in. What I want to let you know what's about to happen is we have about 5 more minutes left on this severe thunderstorm warning. It was set to expire at 4:30, and it's starting to come down in intensity just a little bit. Technically, the criteria to keep a severe thunderstorm warning is quarter-sized hail. Anything below that, they're not going to keep a severe thunderstorm warning on it. So what that means here, in about 5 minutes, they're going to let this warning go. We're going to get you back to regular programming. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here until noon at least. My shift is just starting. I'm going to keep a close eye on things, and if we have to pop back on early, we will. Of course, we've got the news coming up at 6 a.m. By then, a lot of this is going to be wrapping up, but I'll be keeping an eye on things for the next little bit. I don't want to leave you hanging if you're in Germantown or Cordova. But I do want to let you know here in just a little bit, we're going to be wrapping things up, at least on the TV side of things. We might keep going a little bit longer on digital, on our live stream, but on TV, we're going to start to wrap things up here soon. Again, it's still bad out here. Germantown Parkway getting it bad now from Cordova down toward Germantown. The rest of the city starting to lighten up just a little bit, and this whole batch of storms is moving on out of here. DeSoto County about to get some heavy rain and thunder. This storm moving into Fayette County toward Collierville in the next little bit, but all of these are generally starting to weaken. That means things over the next couple of hours will be clearing up. By 6 a.m., we're going to be in great shape, and the rest of the day is going to look pretty nice. But for the next little bit, hail is definitely a possibility out in the eastern portion of the county. I want to zoom in a bit more here. This is really almost down to street level. So you've got Germantown Parkway that is right there. You've got Walnut Grove Road. Just putting a couple of streets on the map here. We're out east now, almost out toward the Eads area. So Germantown Parkway and Walnut Grove, the heaviest of it now, even a little bit more. Let's see, out toward some of these neighborhoods off of Poplar as we're getting into Germantown. Gotten Way, Spring Hollow Lane. This is almost getting out toward Forest Hill, Irene. They probably have the highest potential of hail right now out toward Germantown and in East Memphis. Now that storm's going to continue to move east, so we're talking way out east toward Raleigh-LaGrange. That's out almost in Fayette County, that way out part of town. We're talking out toward almost Briarcrest School is where that next batch of heavy rain and hail is going to be rolling in. For the city of Memphis, things will be lightening on up a little bit. In fact, I'll zoom on out for you and just show you an idea of what is going on now. There's that heavy storm. It's now east of 240 and Poplar. So if you're inside the 240 loop, things are clearing up. Downtown is clearing up. South Memphis, Whitehaven, Westwood all clearing up. We're going to have some rain for the next little bit, but as far as thunderstorms go, this thing is going to continue to move east and eventually be out of the Mid-South. I don't want to forget about DeSoto County, though, because we have this storm that is rolling in. Now, this one is not severe. We don't have any warnings on this storm at all. It's some heavy rain, it's some thunder and lightning. I don't see a hail concern with this, and I really don't see any strong winds. Winds in here maybe 30 miles an hour, but it is going to be some heavy rain and thunder and lightning that could wake you up. I'll put a storm track on this before we go, because I said I was going to do that a little bit earlier, and I never got to it. As we track this final round of storms east, Horn Lake at 434, Hernando at 440, Helena West Helena at 446, Olive Branch at 449, Coldwater at 503, Senatobia at 519, and Marianna, Arkansas at about 527. So as this is moving east, we're going to continue to see things kind of fall apart and kind of weaken. So really, I don't expect any major concerns out of this line of storms. Again, there's no warning on it. It's not severe. I'm not overly concerned about it, but heavy rain and thunder and lightning could wake you up as this final batch rolls through North Mississippi. Before we let you go, though, as this severe thunderstorm warning starts to expire, I want to check in one more time on our troublemaker storm. This is the whole reason that we are on the air, and that severe thunderstorm warning is now canceled. So no more warnings in effect, but this is the storm that originally caused the warning, now out toward Cordova and Germantown. It still could be producing a little bit of hail, but it is kind of in a weakening mode right now. We'll check the hail in here. Notice how that's really come down. Those lighter purples are indicating just really small hail. Earlier, out near 55 in Mallory, that hail was maybe a little larger, and then the hail was even bigger back into Arkansas. So that's great news that this storm is continuing to weaken, but it is still strong. It's still producing a good deal of thunder and lightning. That little cluster of storms right there in the eastern part of Shelby County, and this batch of storms over the Mississippi River back toward Marianna, Arkansas, and into DeSoto and northern Tunica counties. So for right now, we do not have any warnings in effect. There are no warnings in effect for the Mid-South. Now, storms will continue for the next little bit. We're going to have some heavy rain. We're going to have some wind gusts. We're going to have some thunder and lightning. Other than that, for right now, I'm not overly concerned about these. We're going to keep a close eye on it. Again, like I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be back with another live update at about 5:26. And then our newscast will start at 6, and I think by then these storms will really be clearing out of here. But again, right now, no severe warnings in effect. No severe weather happening. There are some nasty storms producing some heavy rain and lightning, but none of them are severe. So for right now, we're going to go ahead and sign off of our ABC 24 channel and on digital. We're going to end both live streams. If anything pops back up, we will be back on air at a moment's notice and we will let you know. But for right now, things seem to have simmered down a little bit. Rain and wind continues, but right now, nothing is severe. For all of us at ABC 24 on air and behind the scenes, I'm meteorologist Trevor Burchett. We're now going to return you to your regularly scheduled program.